going to pass you over now to Arthur. So please give him a big virtual App Promotion Summit round of applause and welcome to the stage. Over to you, Arthur.
Thank you, James. Cool. Good morning, everyone. I mean, it's quite early in the UK, so I hope you have your cup of coffee in Germany, in Eastern Europe, or wherever you are. So today we want to touch the topic of how to unify organic and paid, which is actually one of the hottest topics in the industry at the moment, because nobody knows how to do that. So let's start with the classic tale of a not hot dog app. So let's just imagine that the greatest minds of Silicon Valley launch an app that can recognize if it's a hot dog or not. So they have amazing engineers, they have amazing people on the team, probably a bit of knowledge of marketing and probably a bit of investments, and they got Mike Bacci excited, and TechCrunch wrote an article about them. Here is what the app looks like. Amazing App Store listing. I mean, obviously title, subtitle, not optimized, because who needs that? You just need your brand name. You just need not hot dog, and you need 2 screenshots showing that something is hot dog and something is not. Easy peasy. The launch was hugely successful. All installs came organically. They wore their turtlenecks, they thought their next Steve Jobs, and downloads were like 30,000 per day. By the way, this is the real app. This is the real app's data, and if you can guess the app in the comments, you will get some prize. So this is not hot dog app, launched in 2016. I mean, they took a few days to kind of to hype it up, but then they reached the mark of 30,000 installs per day. Amazing. Investors got all excited. But then what happens that installs go down. All of a sudden, investors are pulling out. Nobody knows what's happening. And it just goes down. It's just unstoppable. And by the way, in 2020, this app is still live on the App Store. It's almost dead, but I mean, it's still there. And I was actually watching this app in 2016, and literally they went massively up because of all these articles on TechCrunch, but then they lost all the traffic in a matter of like a few weeks. So what's going on and why it's happening and why they couldn't sustain this growth? And that's where I actually wanted to ask your opinion. Can you sustain organic growth without paid acquisition? So, because there are so many of these not hot dog apps, and in fact, I worked for one in the past where you get all excited about the product and you get some journalists excited as well. You launch the app and maybe you get some installs, maybe you get features in the App Store, but then after that, nothing happens. Nothing happens, you just can't maintain this growth. So what's the problem and what went wrong? So lesson number 1 is that organics mostly come from search. Organic is not some abstract kind of something from space. They come from search. So it's people who go to iOS App Store or Google Play App Store, type something and search for your app. They will, obviously 50% will search for your brand name. So maybe they will search for not hot dog app because they heard of you somewhere, but another 50% will search for generic terms. And if you are not optimized for these generic terms, and obviously if you are not promoting your own brand name, then where are they going to come from? Because browse, for instance, is only 9%. Web referrals, so all of this kind of great articles, will also be in the end only 9% of your installs. So really, to maintain your organic growth, at the very least, you need to be optimized for search. And when we talk about search, it's not just metadata, not just creatives. It's actually quite a lot of factors that affect your visibility. So first of all, if we look at things like installs, you need to maintain this install velocity. And obviously, if it's going down, then you need to do something about it, because both Apple and Google Play, they take into account how many installs you had in the last 7 days, because that means that you're relevant. If you didn't have any installs, then why would you be in top 3, top 5? Nobody's using you anyway. Then you have ratings and reviews. So if people are unhappy about the experience, they will be very quick to leave this review, and obviously they will decrease the conversion for everyone else. Things like launches and monthly active users and uninstalls and retention rates all affect your visibility. So something that people forget about. You need to track all of these KPIs daily via your consoles, via your mix panel, or whatever you're using. You need to track that. Then you have also things like app performance. Literally, your crash rate affects your visibility, especially on Google Play, because you have this Android Vitals tab. So if your app is crap, then chances are you won't get to top 5. And then backlinks, which is a bit of a controversial topic. I mean, they sort of work on Google Play, but then it's also due to your PR campaign. So no one is quite sure if it's backlinks or PR or something else, and definitely forget about them on iOS. But the point I'm making here is that even if we just talk about ASO, ASO is not just metadata. It's not just keywords, not just, I mean, not Hotdog app didn't even have any keywords in the title. At the very least, you need to have keywords, but even that's not enough. In 2020, 2021, you need to have, at the very least, keywords, creatives, and then you need to look at other factors. And what we always emphasize that ASO is not SEO for mobile. ASO is ASO. It's very different. And what's even more important is that ASO will impact all of your acquisition channels. Doesn't matter where people are coming from, organic, paid, social, email, TechCrunch, they all come here. They all come here. So if your conversion here is low, if people don't understand what the app is for, you have no copy, you have no exciting imagery, they will leave. So conversion goes down and costs go up. Easy as that. Which brings us to lesson number 2. ASO and user acquisition work better together. So, and we will review kind of 2 particular channels here today, because obviously there are multiple ways to kind of to promote your app via paid acquisition. It might be all of these TikToks and Snapchats and lots of other social media channels, but let's focus on 2 which are mobile first and very relevant for you guys, and that would be Apple Search Ads and Google App Campaigns. So if we look at Apple Search Ads, again, something that people forget about is that it's not just kind of spending your money. Because if your relevancy is low, which is defined by your metadata, then you won't win the bid. So you need to optimize your metadata to be successful in Apple Search Ads. So relevancy score will define if you're winning the bid or not. Then your tap-through rate, which is again affected by your creatives, will define if your campaign is successful or not, because lower conversion, again, brings us higher costs. So again, we need to analyze your ASO activities, understand your keywords, understand your creatives, and see what can be done to improve this click-through rate. And you can optimize to its ROI. You can use this Apple Search Ads information about keywords conversion and the LTV per user from keywords, and you can use that for your organic strategy. So ASO and ASA are very closely intertwined. And with ASA, you can actually optimize both paid and organic. So you can boost your visibility. If you bid on a certain keyword and your conversion rate is high for this keyword, then your organic ranking for the same keyword will go up. It goes actually different direction as well. So if your conversion rate is low, then your organic ranking also will go down. So in fact, you can, with Apple Search Ads, you can actually decrease your conversion, decrease your rankings. You can do even worse. Then you need to look at things like keyword ROI, as I mentioned, that you can analyze. If you integrate your MMP with your Apple Search Ads, you can understand which keywords bring you how many installs and what kind of lifetime value per user. And then paid incrementality, which is like the nightmare of each CMO out there, how to measure incrementality. it's key here, really, because we need to understand, especially when it comes to brand bidding, how many people who search for eBay will click on the Wayfair if Wayfair is bidding on eBay, and do you need the brand protection, etc., etc. So this topic of incrementality and cannibalization has been around for quite a while. Obviously, people have different opinions on that, but what I would say is that it depends on your brands. It depends on your brands. It depends on your category. It also depends on the channel and many other things, but let's look at eBay. That was the infamous eBay experiments years ago when they were running Google search ads, and they realized that they were spending a lot on their own brand protection, and it was just not working. They were spending too much on their own brands, and they figured out that if people are searching for eBay, then probably they will click on eBay anyway. And they stopped. They ran this experiment where they stopped Google search ads in a third of the country, and they saw visitors coming organically. So then what's the point of running ads at all? Well, for the same company, for eBay, it doesn't actually hold true in Apple search ads. So as soon as you turn on search ads, your organic go down. As soon as you turn off, your organic goes down. So I mean, that's the thing. You need to kind of track every channel, every category, every brand, every country is different. So here we can see that there is very clear correlation between spending more on search ads and seeing an impact in your total and organic installs. So you can beat the trend by running search ads strategically. So that's very important to keep this in mind. And we have another case study. We have Farfetch, where we also ran numerous experiments, and we saw that Apple search ads actually drove an increase in their organic. So we can attribute this Apple search ad spend to the 17% increase in their organic installs, which is quite an incredible result. Which brings us to the point which I would like to emphasize, that if you run ASA strategically, your organic will go up as well. So again, you need to be optimized. You need to be optimized for high conversion, high visibility, high relevancy score. Then it will work. It won't just work if you just push the button. You need to be ready for that. So if you deploy everything correctly, both of this organic and paid will go up in correlation. We've also seen that Apple search ad spend actually affects your category rank. So we've seen how turning off Apple search ads decreases category rank for the biggest apps. So category rank is one of those things where it's more of a vanity than value, because the reality is that, as I have shown earlier, only a small percentage will ever come from browse, and browse here means actually either you've been featured or people browse categories in the App Store. But again, if you want to be in top 5, if you want to be in top 10, and it's still some additional relevant traffic, then you need to be strategic about your paid, because paid will, again, maintain this velocity of installs, which in turn makes you more relevant in the category. So turning this off, again, will decrease your rank. And then Google App Campaigns is also a super important channel. It probably won't have a direct impact on your organic ranking on the Google Play App Store, but it will help you not only maintain your velocity of installs, but also get relevant data for your ASO strategy. So the good thing about Google App Campaigns is that there is one setup for all Google properties. You can leverage machine learning of Google to target the right audience, and you can choose if you want to optimize towards installs or actions or lifetime value of the user. So it's a very smart tool to use, again, if you optimize it correctly. And if there is one thing you take from this presentation, is that well, according to Google, 70% of all campaign performance is down to the creative. According to our data, it's even more than that. So, and that works on both Apple and Google Play, and to be honest, any other channel in 2020, 2021. Your creatives are super important, because that's what people see, that's what people can relate to, that's what will define if you're successful or not. And that's why it's so important to produce a relevant ad for every moment, for every Google property. You need to be ready to get this user, be it search or Play Store, or maybe it's emails, or they're surfing on the web. It's copy, it's images, it's videos. So you need to be really smart about how you test, what you produce, and what would work to target the relevant audience. And you need to be consistent about using your branding. So we've seen so many times that brands use completely different creatives for their different channels, thinking that it's a good idea. Well, it's not really. So the first thing that we do when we start working with the brands is looking at how to make their landing page and their ads and maybe their email campaigns to look like consistent story. Because mind you, many people, if they don't click on your ad today, they might click on that ad a few days after. So you want to kind of keep this consistent. Otherwise, people will be totally confused about the message, about the value, and why they would need your app in the first place. And this is an example of what we ran for MyFitnessPal, where we also analyzed the learnings from our paid campaigns and applied them to ASO. Again, to the point of consistent branding, we need to make sure that whatever we produce for your organic strategy or paid strategy is in line with every other channel. Because if people see a banner on Facebook which says, I don't know, improve your fitness goals, but they go to the App Store and says something else, then they won't download an app because they'll be confused. They came for a different USP. So you need to make sure that it's all aligned, because that will work. That will work in the end. So we've seen as a case study for MyFitnessPal, it was an amazing result in terms of return on ad investments, which was 130%, and it was a 25% increase in their tap-through rates. Again, something to keep in mind, that you need to analyze your campaigns consistently and see how App Store conversion affects your Google App campaigns, how Google App campaigns performance affect your App Store conversion, because even the quality of ads might actually affect your conversion, which in turn will drag your rankings down. Again, it's all very, very intertwined. Remember that. So that's why we have numerous studies how improving App Store conversion increases all of your installs. As shown earlier, that it doesn't matter where people come from, they still end up at the same place, which is your App Store. So remember, large font size, great imagery, exciting USPs, exciting message, something about social proof, something about bonuses, or download now, join 10 million of users. That's what people need. People are not interested in your product, which is tap here, tap there, and find out if the hot dog is not hot dog. People are not interested. They want to know that you can provide them with the best hot dog dates out there. And that's how we can also reduce cost per trial activation over time. We've seen that being smart about it can improve your conversion, can improve your install base, and in turn improve your subscription rates, which is what all CMOs out there strive for, is increasing revenue through their campaigns. And this is exactly what can be done if you align your organic and paid. Which brings us to lesson number 3. A bad plan is better than no plan. The mistake that many companies make out there is that they rely too heavily on one thing or another without plan B, without the strategy to actually grow this channel. So if you think about it, there are four core elements of your growth. That's ASO, that's product, that's media, that's strategy. If you have the ASO but your product is shit, it's not going to work. If you have the right strategy but you don't actually run media and you don't do any of the ASO, again, chances are it might not work. So you need to make sure that all of these elements work together consistently on the aligned strategy. And you also need to define your kind of digital maturity journey, because what you don't want to happen is that you start from this nascent category and you never move up. What I mean by that is that in terms of basic ASO, which is optimizing visibility, optimizing conversion, and putting some ratings and review strategy, that's what many companies do out there. You won't be ahead of competition if you do that. What you want to do is to build a consistent strategy between your organic, paid, SEO. You want to build cross-channel attribution and right ways of measuring where people are coming from, and if organic is actually affected by your outdoor advertising or maybe Facebook banner that people saw and then they went to the App Store and searched for your brands. So only then you will have this edge to be ahead of your competitors, because that's what everyone else is doing. So you want to be here. You want to experiment. You want to build a CRM funnel. You want to build your app indexing strategy. You want to have deep linking and media mix modeling. So only then you will be ahead. And combining ASO and paid, again, needs to be strategic, and it can't be just a press of a button where you launch both and you hope for the best. We usually suggest that if it's a launch, for instance, you need to start with some PR, with some brand awareness campaign, and with a minimal ASO for conversion, because then kind of all these people who come from your email campaigns or social media or soft launch, they still end up at your listing and you convert them with better creatives. And then step by step, you build your conversion, you build your installs, you build your visibility. And that's when you start running ads, because as you go up, you want to maintain this growth. You don't want the situation that happened to Not Hot Dog app where it's drastically goes down. So to maintain that, you run search ads, you run paid social, you run Google App campaigns. You slowly but surely go up, and then you look at engagements, you look at actions, you look at value. You don't optimize towards installs anymore. You want something bigger, you want subscriptions, you want revenue. Well, obviously it depends on your model, but that's the ideal scenario. And then after that, we look at retention. We look at retargeting, we look at what our retention rates are, because if your quality of media is bad, that will affect your retention, that will affect your rankings. Again, very closely intertwined. So one element wouldn't work without another. And at each stage, there'll be different KPIs that we need to look at. So when we just start, you look at cost per mile. When just impressions, just you want to get this eyeballs to the listing, you don't care about anything else. When we start acquisition, you look at installs, then it's action, then it's LTV. So again, at each point of your journey, you need to have different KPIs. And that's, again, super important not to confuse them and not to start with kind of a huge goal. We've seen so many companies just launching and they want kind of the return on that investment in the second week. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. You need to have a slow but very, very strategic plan about acquisition, the right type of user. You also need to test a lot during this period, because without testing, without data, it's very difficult to say who will convert and who will not. So the first few weeks, just focus on testing. Focus on testing different creatives, different imagery, and maybe even within the app, different journeys, because then you will get valuable data to move forward. When you have bigger budgets, when you have larger acquisition plans, then you can focus on LTV. And I hope you managed to to go to the poll, and if you haven't, I still would like to see some of your comments or what you think about sustaining organic growth without paid acquisition. And we can even assume that you have the ASO plan and you have maybe some great brand awareness campaign. Well, I mean, you might as well say that it's paid, but let's just say it's organic. So the question is, can you do that? Well, here's my response. If we sum it up, you can, but it depends. So here's an example of one of our clients in healthcare space who managed to do almost like this eBay experiments where they turned off paid and their organics went up. So basically, they realized that they were cannibalizing their own organic traffic. Again, it depends on the brands. It depends on the category. It's a very big brand in the space, so it's not surprising that people know their name and they just go to the app store and search for that. Plus, it's healthcare, and this year it was particularly booming category because everyone was trying to check their symptoms and trying to understand what's going on with them. So that's what happens, and we can't guarantee that it will happen again. So, but that's something to keep in mind, that again, sometimes you can save tons of money if you are strategic about it. Plus, they were very well optimized on ASO because obviously we were running their keyword visibility and conversion optimization. So they were well prepared for turning off paid acquisition. If you are not, don't do that. It's not going to happen that easily. Your installs might not go up, they might go down, and it will be terrible. And of course, the product must be great. We can't stress this enough. If the product's retention is bad, if your content is not valuable, then no paid acquisition, no organic, nothing will help. We've seen that. Probably the most recent example would be Quibi, where they couldn't maintain this growth because their daily users were just leaving because the content was not there, the strategy was not there. So there are numerous examples of that in the App Store. In fact, I was trying to check the data. It seems like 75% of apps are downloaded and used only once. It means that people, even if people find you and try you, chances are that they will leave. So you need to have this content straight away. You need to convert them. Otherwise, no strategy in this world will help. So product obviously must come first. And as a digital marketing agency, which is Jellyfish, you might know us from the previous years as the ASO Co. We then got acquired by Jellyfish, and we are a digital growth partner now. So we not only focus on ASO, we try to move away from this just apps optimization, because again, it's not a silver bullet. It's an important element of your strategy, but without media, without the plan in place, it might not work as well. So you need to manage all of your platforms. You need to make sure that all of this is consistent, and obviously only then you will see some results and you will see some data. And to answer this on a good note, here's a photo of our mobile marketing experts who are keen to help, who are keen to learn more about your app. So if there is anything that you want to ask, please feel free to give us a shout, and we'll be able to run the audit, understand what is going wrong and where you're missing out. Is it Apple Search Ads? Is it paid social? Is it ASO? Is it products? Is it CRM? There are so many things that we need to track. So that's why sometimes it's just worth speaking to the partner, speaking to the agency, and see what's the a different view for the third party is. And we have offices globally, so we run our clients in all countries of this world. So I mean, if when it comes to localization, it's also super important, and that probably will be another half an hour of the talk to cover how you need to localize your content for each of your campaigns, and how to do it properly, how to launch new markets. So feel free to reach out for a free audit and summary of trends. I'll be more than happy to to look at your data, to look at your app. Obviously, our data team will be super happy to do that. And then we can figure out if there is something that you're missing and what can be improved. So we have a bit of time, I guess, for Q&A. And so you can see some questions come up. I can see the question, which tools do you use to track and analyze your KPIs? Because they're spread over a lot of different platforms. So a few things. So first of all, you need to use console data. So I mean, you need to have console data, you need to have something like some MMP in place, attribution like AppsFlyer, Adjust, or Kachava, or you know, any other attribution platform. And then you need to have analytics, because what will happen is that console data can give you the split between organic and paid. Plus, Apple can give you between organic browse, organic search, organic web referral, organic app referral. That's super important, and MMP data won't be enough there. So you need to actually track the console data as well. Same with Google Play. Google Play also will give you valuable data, and tabs like Android Vitals, again, they're not available anywhere else. Within the Google Play console, you can see Android Vitals, which tracks your crash rates against your competitors, because even that will define if Android will merchandise with higher rankings. So you need to track console data. You need to have attribution in place to understand where user is coming from. Is this click attributed to Facebook or Apple search ads or Google app campaigns? And then you need to have something like amplitude in place, where you can actually understand what is going on further down the funnel, and if these users can be attributed to higher revenue, higher daily active users, monthly active users, etc., etc. So unfortunately, the answer is that you need to use all of these different sources, because only then you will get to the source of the truth. There is no one solution, one size fits all, because there will be different sources of traffic, different users, and with organic, it's even more confusing, because MMPs usually would just say, this is organic, this is paid. But organic also can be split into numerous channels. Yeah, and to answer the question about amplitudes, yes, there is amplitude, there is Mixpanel, there are a few other tools that you can use, and probably someone else can answer if they're using what their experience is, but any measurements, any analytics tool in place would be a fair game, because at the very least, you can get this data about further down the funnel, which is, again, super important for your campaigns. And by the way, the answer to can you sustain organic growth without paid acquisition, it seems like 47% said no, and 40% said it depends, 13% said yes. So yeah, pretty much. I agree with every answer, because it depends on your brands, it depends on your stage of maturity, it depends on the category, but having something in place is better than nothing. Again, it comes down to the plan. A few other questions I can see here. So how can you be optimized for good results in terms of organics when talking about ASA? Is this about the traffic capacity of the app? So yes, when we talk about Apple search ads and being optimized for better organics, I can give you an example. So it's more about the right keyword strategy. So number one problem that we see when we analyze the brand's data is that they spend very sporadically without actually understanding why they would bid on these keywords in the first place. Because if you use kind of broad match, what happens is that you might basically get all sorts of random users who might, like, let's say you are a fitness workout app, but you are targeting diet, and you're targeting diet, and you might be getting some installs coming from a keyword called diet, but then they don't stick. And then your organic ranking for a diet also goes up because Apple sees that people actually convert somehow from the keyword diet. So all of a sudden, you, on both organic and paid fronts, you target a completely random words, which doesn't actually bring you any results, because people who come to your app, they don't come for a diet, they come for workouts. And if they come for a diet and they don't see diet, then they will leave. So all of a sudden you have problems on all fronts. So that's why it's the first thing that we need to do is to understand which keywords you target and if it's too broad. And then as we optimize towards more relevant keywords, then we improve your organic results for the same keywords, which in turn will obviously bring more organic installs, because over time you can get to top 3 for the keyword that you're bidding on if your conversion is great. So it also comes down to creatives, of course, and the copy that you're using. So I can see another question here is, which activities would you recommend to support re-engagements through organic ASO? So one of the things that we usually recommend is, first of all, it should be creatives, really. It should be creatives, because if we put the acquisition part for the moment, you need to talk about, let's say if you're retail, you need to talk about offers. People who come back to your app store, they might already have an app. I do that all the time. I might have an app on the app store, on my phone, and I go to the app store to see if there is anything new about the app that I'm missing out on. Are there any new features? Are there any new discounts? Is there anything great going on in this world? So you need to update your screenshots, not only from the perspective of what works through your numerous A/B tests, what the data says, but also what the common sense says, why people should download your app. If there is anything new, please shout about it. Don't lead with the product, lead with the value, because then people who come back to your app store, they will be like, yes, I need this app because of X, Y, and Z. But in terms of acquisition, obviously it's just targeting keywords that your potential users might be using. You probably know them already, and they probably came through kind of as a first install through these keywords anyway. So I would say it's more important to actually tackle your promo text as well, something that people forget about, but promo text is a good way to shout about what's going on again and what's new and why your returning users should download your app. How amplitude and adjust could complement each other for growth. So yeah, it is really kind of, we're also probably missing here the third element, which is some sort of CRM messaging, which might be Braze or Lean Plum or Iterable, because then if you have like all three, like attribution, analytics, and in-app messaging, push notifications, in-app testing, that's where you will see most of the growth. Because first of all, you can understand where users are coming from. Then you can understand how further down the funnel they convert and what happens after they first click, first download, first pay, what's going on there. And you can build these different cohorts of users. And then through in-app messaging, through some CRM, you can build these cohorts through Amplitude or Mixpanel, and through Lean Plum or Braze, you can message them. You can send them different push notifications. So if I used your app once a week and someone else is using your app once a month, it's different cohorts. If I'm in 20s and someone else in 30s, it's different cohorts. Send them different messaging. Make this experience personalized. Obviously, don't be creepy, but you need to understand how different audiences react to your messages, because only then you'll be able to to boost your growth significantly. And for that, you actually need all three. As I said, it will be analytics, attribution, and some sort of in-app messaging and CRM funnel. James, I can't hear you.
Sorry. If you got, are you sort of, have we got any more questions, do you think, or?
We have 2 more questions.
All right, great. All right, yeah, great.
How important are push notifications in your strategy? So they are important. They are important for numerous reasons. One is re-engagements and retention, because then you can actually retain users. With you need to be smart about it. You can't send push notifications every day, because then people again will get annoyed, and I know many apps who do that, and I think it's a bad strategy. So you need to find this optimum point where you send just enough to re-engage and retain the users and not to piss them off. And then push notifications also work better for increasing your LTV, because if you're again a retailer, or maybe if you're a fitness app and you have some offers, again, shout about them, talk about them to your users, and they'll be more than happy to convert and to make this purchase if targeted at the right time. And another question is can Firebase cover that? Yes, partially yes. And Firebase would be super important for your Google App Campaign strategy, because only through Firebase you'll be able to build the right lookalike audience, the right cohorts for your Google campaign. So don't start GAC without Firebase, otherwise your cost will skyrocket. We especially see that on iOS, when people try to target iOS users through GAC and it doesn't work. The #1 mistake is that they haven't set up the Firebase properly. And Firebase is a great analytics tool. It comes with some limitations, so you can actually use both Firebase and Amplitude, for instance, because then it will give you even more data. So I think we are done with the questions. So if you have any other questions, or if there are any questions I missed, please feel free to reach out via email, and I'll be more than happy to help.
Thanks, Arthur. That was great. And I guess maybe, yeah, you can maybe check out the chat afterwards and drop in, and if you've missed any, kind of pick them up in there. But that was great. Thank you. I had one question, which is, you know, you've been in ASO and app growth for a while now, and you've started working in a startup. Now you're part of a big agency, and I guess you've seen the market change as well. You know, what are your big lessons from sort of making that journey? You know, in terms of you know what you need to succeed in app growth.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've seen is that there is a big shift of the mindset. I think when I just interviewed, like it was 4.5 years ago, I interviewed for the position at the ASO Co. Nobody knew what ASO is. There were only a few people with some YouTube videos, and there was even like one ASO book downloaded like 2 times about ASO. Nobody knew what is going on. Why would you need that in the first place? Someone was talking about mobile SEO, but that's about it. So now we've seen a huge shift in mindset, is that now I see so many ASO roles out there. It's actually incredible. When I go on LinkedIn, I keep bombarded with like ASO roles here, ASO roles there, and it's fantastic to see. I think even big companies now realize that they need this ASO person. However, what I see the trend is that organic teams and paid teams sit separately. So if before that it was like some sort of head of marketing who was responsible for everything, now we see that shift, but we see also that, yes, we hire an ASO person, but they don't usually even know who the UA person is. And what happens is that they do their ASO thing while UA people do their user acquisition. They don't talk to each other. So again, they don't have any aligned strategy. So what we probably would like to see in the future is that there is always a plan in place to kind of put them in the room together and to understand how one affects another and what can be done to actually make these journeys combined. Because organic won't grow without paid, paid won't grow without organic.
Got it. Great. Well, I'd love to continue the conversation normally over a coffee or, you know, a drink, but we can't do that this time, but hopefully we'll meet again. And yeah, I want to say a big thank you to you for taking part today and kicking off our ASO day with such great insights. And yeah, I think if you can head over to the chat maybe and pick up any sort of final questions, that would be great. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, James.
Thanks. All right. Well, I think we've got another talk up next, so we'll get that ready. But yeah, thanks to Arthur, and see you all in the next one. Thanks, Arthur.
Thank you.